All right, so I'm going to let everyone take a look at this. I'm going to get another sip of water, and for time's sake, I'm going to run through this really, really quickly. Once again, if this is piquing your interest, it's something that you're looking into, then Private Lender Playbook. Go to privatelenderplaybook.com to get more information. And really, I really strongly encourage anyone who's interested in becoming a private mortgage lender is just really educating yourself on this process. How does it work? Borrower finds a deal through whatever marketing efforts that they have in place in their business. That borrower and lender will discuss the deal, the rates of terms. Once they agree on rates and terms, then it'll be a handshake or a Zoom shake agreement, or now in COVID-19, a virtual whatever you do, elbow, I don't know what we're doing these days. So you'll agree on your rates and terms. That information, we have a loan doc sheet that we call it, and we fill it out. We send that information to our attorney via email, CC our lender in on the deal. He will begin the document preparation. Title company at the same time is working on title policy, title commitment. We're ordering insurance, we're ordering the survey, all those things that we need to do. We go to closing. Deal is closed and funded, and you're going to get a copy. You'll get signed copies, original copy of the note, and a deed of trust is filed in the local area, and then then it goes into kind of project fulfillment, so to speak, meaning that real estate investor is going to begin renovating the properties, adding value to it, so to speak, and requesting draws based on when that work is done. And at that point in time, if they're going to, if it's set up on monthly payments, and the reason I say if is because we do have a lot of our fix and flip investors that loan us on an accrued basis, so that interest should be accruing. Most times, though, there's monthly payments involved. So those monthly payments would begin 30, 60, 90 days, or whatever you've agreed to with your borrower. That would be your quote-unquote mailbox money and your passive income. So those payments would start coming in, and that real estate investor is either going to fix and flip it, fix and rent it, et cetera, whatever their exit strategy is. And if they fix and flip the deal, then you're going to get an email or a phone call one day asking for the payoff amount. Or if they refinance it, same thing. And at that point in time, closing will occur, and you will receive your capital back, all of your capital back, and which is basically your goose that's laid the golden egg of this passive income and your monthly payments that you've received. And I found that most people want to repeat this process over and over and over again. I've never had a private lender who didn't come back and want to reinvest. So I'm pretty proud of that. And it's just more of not really thinking about me. It's just really about proof of concept for this type of loan structure and this investment opportunity, really. So this is a question you have to ask yourself. Short-term versus long-term. Are you the tortoise or the hare? So we all know the story of the tortoise and the hare. I have 5 kids, so obviously I've read that book more than a few times, and we know that the tortoise wins the race. Well, I found that to be true in this type of investment opportunity as well, meaning the people who have, even if they're earning less of a return or lower interest rate, there's the compound effect of that money just being steady pumping. I'm a Texas guy, right? So it's like a little oil well just pumping steady, slow and steady, pumping out that 8% or whatever it is. Versus someone who comes into the space and says, "Hey, I want some of that 12 to 15% return," and you can absolutely do that. And I've seen some private lenders who have a lot of time and a lot of just desire to get those returns, and they put in a lot of effort. So it's not that you can't be the hare and earn that 15% or whatever it is that you want to earn. You absolutely can, but you just have to, ask yourself, remember, the higher return typically requires a much higher effort and higher risk. So just make sure you're okay with that. What I've seen a lot of people is kind of take on the set it and forget it. Hey, give me 7% for the next 5 years, and I will take that all day long. And what I've even done with some of my longer term lenders who are committing to a longer time period, 3, 4, 5 years, we either put like a kind of a renewal clause every single year, or I basically give them an option to exit that loan with a 90-day notice. So if they had to get out of that loan, they have that ability to do so. And that's the cool thing with this opportunity, is that it's really, I like to call it relationship-based lending. And that's what private mortgage lending is for the most part. It's relationship-based lending, a handshake agreement, but documented by all the proper documentation from a real estate attorney with a title company closing. So I'm going to go through 2 case studies really quick, only for the sake of time. And we have really in-depth case studies as well in Private Lender Playbook. That's privatelenderplaybook.com in case you haven't gotten it yet. So this is a flip deal that is actually right now on the market to be sold here in a couple of weeks. So this particular deal, we bought this house for, if you look on the right, $106,000 purchase price, and spent $49,000 in repairs. The property value, it's under contract now at $235,000. So this was a 68% LTV. And so this turned out to be a $160,000 loan that we bought this property from a motivated seller, closed quickly, and we're paying our investor 10% interest, 12-month term. This is only going to be about a 5-month loan that we had out. So this is also, let's see here, this is a rental property deal. This one we didn't buy as deep of a discount. It was a $111,000 loan amount. We bought this property from a motivated seller. We paid our private lender 8% interest only. There was no principal reduction in this loan. We bought this property several years ago. This property is now on the market to be sold. We just felt like it was a good time after several years of kind of wear and tear on a rental property and just timing the market and that sub-market over there. Decided to sell it, and we're also gearing up to get some cash reserves as well in case we run into an incredible buying opportunity in today's market, which I think we might. So this one's on the market right now, 155, and a loan to value. That loan to value on that deal was 72%, and so that was another case study. So I'm going to close out here with a couple more slides. So here's the thing. This is backyard investing that feels good. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? So when you're invested in a mutual fund, when you're invested in the stock market, where is your money invested? Where is it with, right? And so, if you were to take all of your paper assets, stocks, even a lot of bonds, junk bonds, even government bonds these days, for crying out loud, CDs, all these, paper instruments, paper investments, what is that worth if you light a match and set that bowl on fire? What are those investments worth, right? Like, they're just paper. This is solid, real assets like bricks and sticks, dirt, good old, for me, it's like, I'd say good old Texas real estate. But it also feels good. You get the safety and security. You get that, solid and steady return, but it feels good. So what do I mean by that? Rather than sending your money off to Wall Street or some mutual fund, you can invest in your own backyard. A good friend of mine was invested in a mutual fund, and he started doing some digging. And he said, what does this mean? Where is my money at? Where does it go? Or where is it at right now that it's invested in this mutual fund? So he started doing some research, and this is just a crazy story, but he found out that one of the companies that his mutual fund was invested in was Osama bin Laden Construction Company. That's correct, Osama bin Laden Construction Company. And he immediately pulled his money out of that mutual fund. Obviously, he's like, I'm not going to be invested in that, and pulled his money out of the stock market. And that's, something for you to think about. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just giving you things to consider. But when you invest, in a private mortgage loan as a private lender to a real estate investor, what can your money be doing? What would your money be doing? Well, it's fixing up, local neighborhoods and communities, taking these rundown, ugly, kind of ugliest house on the block or subdivision, and installing a new roof, doing foundation, putting AC work, doing all these things, hiring these local contractors and service companies to help this become, perhaps the prettiest house on the block and the prettiest house in the neighborhood. And it's not only renovating the property, it's helping the community. That real estate investors purchasing homes from local hardware and lumber stores, granite yards, mulch yards, landscaping, all these other, these local businesses that benefit from it. And think of how much that's needed, especially at a time like this. And you're providing housing. You're helping to provide housing for hardworking families in that community. But there's all these things that feel great, but at the same time, you're earning a passive, predictable, above market rate of return with substantially less risk than other typical investments. So I say there is risk involved here, and so you need to do your own due diligence. But in my opinion, compare Wall Street versus Main Street, meaning investing in your own backyard in good old-fashioned real estate. I believe that Main Street wins overwhelmingly so. So we found a better way. Due to time, I'm not going to read it. A lot of times I'll read it. It's 2 pages long, but I encourage you, you can check this out at privatelenderplaybook.com. You'll get a free copy of my book, or just, reach out to me. I'll send you a copy of my book. But this was a forward written in my book from a couple of my private lenders that have been working with me for over 10 years. And they do a great job of just really summarizing what private lending's done for them in their life and now in their retirement. And they titled it, the preface is, "We Found a Better Way." And it's just a great story that does, like I said, encapsulates this whole investment opportunity probably better than I've done. And so I encourage you to reach out and learn. There's a shameless plug for the Private Lender Playbook. And I think that's all that I have here. I really appreciate everyone coming on to the call. I am going to be hosting these live presentations more frequently. I'll probably shorten it down a little bit to open up and have a little bit more time for Q&A, question and answer, so I can get your personal questions answered. But if you have questions about this presentation, anything that I didn't answer, anything I didn't cover, if you'd like to request a copy of my book, that's my email there, brant@investhomepro.com. You can send me an email, and I'll be glad to send that to you, or answer any questions that I can answer for. So with that, we're a little bit over on time, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap off. But I thank you all for attending, and I hope that helps you kind of in your process of gaining information and possibly going down the path of being a private lender in the world of real estate.